Streaming. Talking to my mic until I can make sure I can hear myself. Streaming. I can. Perfect. Hello, everybody. Our third week of Legend of the Five Rings. We have Jordan back from the desolate, just ugly state of Texas.
Oh, why, hello.
That's Jordan.
How was Texas?
It was actually quite nice. I got to be a part of my wife's best friend's wedding, so that was pretty great.
Good.
Nice.
Yeah, Texas is a perfect, flawless state, and yeah, it's got a really cool guy living there.
One specifically.
One specifically.
There is one guy that's cool there.
From what I've encountered, it's correct. So we had a session last week without Jordan, and nothing really important happened in it. But would one of the people who were there like to fill him in on what happened?
Essentially, got there, grabbed the Cooney was still detained. Went through, started looking at things, interviewing people. And when it came to actually examining the dojo, there was something odd present. A strange dust, so to speak, visible only in the void. And as it turns out, this same sort of phenomenon was also present on the 5 supposedly tainted children. It wasn't the taint. It clearly wasn't the taint. And in the perception of Asako-san, it's almost like their reality was thinner. There was a moment before we set out that Isawa, or was it Osawa? I can't remember what family each person's from now.
It's Asawa.
But,
Yeah, Asawa.
okay. Ended up having a Ronin visit that gave him a piece of paper with something written on it. And it just so happens that piece of paper was the name of a doctor who was prescribing a medication to every single one of the tainted children, who all came from Nikasake. And it turns out that other children, upon later examination, who also were from Nikasake, also had varying levels of exposure to this strange phenomenon. Though only the 5 that were initially found turned out to actually be properly affected by crystal. And basically, that was job done. The Kuni will be accompanying us to Nikasake. A letter has been sent back to headquarters to let the remaining members of our office know that we're headed to Nikasaka now, and we won't be coming back before then. And to meet us there.
Yep. And I believe we want to do the last interview with the mother before we head off to Nikasake.
Yes.
Did you want Jordan's character to be here with it, or
What?
did you want Jordan's character to be there for the interview, or did you just want the player to be there for it?
I think just the player, because the interview was still going to take place. It was going to occur before we left for Nikasaki, because she had come to the dojo to allow, like, to speak with us or something like that, and we hadn't spoken to her.
Thank you. It was really gonna strain my suspension of disbelief if you, like, teleported to you guys.
Oh, yeah, well.
But, you know, if you wanted it, it would happen.
And she's the wife of the governor of Nikasaki.
Yes.
So...
if you look on all your case files, they've been updated. She is the mother of Shiba Takayama.
Files?
The case files. Except for number 1. Because it's not a mythology episode.
What has been updated, you said?
Ooh, it'd be so embarrassing if I didn't save the changes. The case files? Case 2, 3, and 4?
Oh, those cases. Oh, okay.
Oh, the cases, right.
Oh, yeah, okay. After... Did I miss it?
And so with that, you guys are, you know, after making those bold proclamations, getting the Kuni free, averting a war between the Kuni and the Asako family, you guys finally have your interview with Shiba Maru, the mother of, I should never close that note, Shiba Takayama. She's brought to your little interview room by the major domo, who's just been a real hard-working boy and, you know, really proven his worth today. She's a regal lady, of course.
So I'll enter and, and bow appropriately. Greetings. I am Isoa Sai.
And she nods towards you, greeting, and looks towards Asako for his introduction.
And I am Asako Hiroshi. We are of Office 23.
34.
34, sorry.
Way to throw her off your scent, though. Well, excellent. It's my intention to speak of you. Before you ask questions of me, I have questions for you. So I've heard that you've proclaimed the children not corrupted. Is this true? Have you proclaimed the children to be not corrupted?
I could not hear you.
Nor could I.
I believe the woman is asking, do you proclaim the children to be non-corrupted?
Oh. I'll look...
This is not the case. It is not the taint. I will give you that positive news. That said, I have not seen such a thing before.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Swag. Sweet. Okay, so with this new illness, which is not the taint, that's befallen my child, are the restrictions same as the taint, or a little bit looser?
All 5 of the children who were affected initially are deeply affected by whatever this is, as are, interestingly, almost every single child that came from Nikasaki. We do have a firm theory as to what precisely caused.
She nods sternly and she says, I guess the question I'm asking is my child allowed to wed? with the current affliction that he has?
I just look to Asaka.
That is difficult to say. I know not precisely what form of menace this is. I have sent word to those more experienced with the void than myself. Pleasantly, they are actually present within your city.
And she goes, "Oh, there's a what's the name of the Ishiken, if I might ask?"
Which Ishiken?
The one that you asked about, that you sent the information to.
Oh, I never actually came up with a name for my master.
I know. Do you like that slick in character move I just pulled to find out?
Iroh. His name is Iroh.
I like Iroh.
Kazuyoshi. Isawa Kazuyoshi.
Ooh. Oh, yes, I believe, I think I've heard of him. Very well respected. These results please me. Well, if you could, if you could get that information to me just as soon as possible, I'd like to know, whether my heir is eligible to carry on the lineage is, an important question.
I do intend to make haste to Nikisake to ensure that the initial source of this corruption is dealt with.
Very good. Then I shall make sure that your trip goes easily. Now you've answered my question, so how may I assist you in your investigation?
What do you know of this doctor known as, I've already forgotten the name,
Sai.
Sai?
And she narrows her eyes. She's like, as she's suddenly suspicious. She was the midwife for Takayama. She helped me give birth to him, and after then she's been his like personal doctor, and she seems very good at his job. He's never, the birth was very easy, and he's never once been sick in his whole life, and she seems reliable. Is she
That is odd, is it not? To have never been sick?
Well, a good doctor, good breeding. Clearly it shows that he lives a righteous life, if the fortunes have never seen fit to inflict him with any illness.
I have a most serious question for you.
Please.
Do you have any medication from the doctor known as Sai?
No, she only takes, on clients, she only takes, like, children that she's birthed.
Well, that is fortunate, for it seems that such medication is the contaminant.
She looks furious. Are you saying that witch has been corrupting my child underneath my nose?
Would appear to be the case.
She clenches her fist.
It is still premature, though, is it not, Asako?
Oh, I would certainly agree. We have not had the opportunity to interview Sai yet, though it does seem quite suspicious that only those bearing this medication are in fact showing whatever this particular contamination is. That said, it is possible, should we arrive there, that it is not Psy that is intentionally corrupting, but merely whoever the supplier for this medication is.
Oh no, it's her. My mother warned me I'd be cursed if I ever used a midwife to bear my child, and now it's come to fruition.
What is the reputation of Sai in Nikasaki?
Well, until me, she was just a monk helping out peasants and, Ronin and stuff like that, being a midwife. But then, an individual that I trust convinced me, because all the doctors said I'd have a very hard, possibly deadly birth. And so she was suggested to me, and so with her help, I was the first clan samurai who gave birth to a child. And, after then she started taking on a lot of samurai clients as well. She still mostly deals with peasants and stuff like that, but she does take on samurai. And if all of them are corrupted, she looks aghast. That means it's my fault, because I'm the one who suggested her. And she looks at you guys very, very soberly, and she says, if you need testimony about her being a villain, I will gladly provide it.
Thank you for the dutiful offer of service. However, I mentioned this earlier, and I must mention it one more time. We still seek clarity in this matter, and there is much that remains to be answered.
I understand.
It is my hope that my sensei is capable of informing me of precisely what this contamination is, and hopefully some form of remedy.
Well, it strikes me well that samurai, clearly as capable as yourself, will be working on this case. And you have my full support.
I didn't hear the last bit.
You've
Nor
got
did
my
I.
full support. Full support, you got it.
Well, I believe that is all we have. Perhaps we are headed to Nikasaki now. Perhaps we shall see you there.
Perhaps. I hope you're there when you execute that witch.
When what?
When you execute that witch. She's angry.
So, I suppose we shall leave and go to Nikasaki, where we're going to meet up with Jordan's character.
Dope. You guys are actually going to meet at an inn along the way.
Oh, okay.
That seems fun to me. And we cut to Jordan's character stretching, feeling A-okay after being sick with malaria. On the road.
On a very unfortunately full of exercise walk along the road, and directly after, quite a terrible illness, which of course took me away from my duties.
Mm-hmm.
It is a fortunate thing that I am now feeling better.
Luckily, you know, by carrier pigeon or carrier peacock, the rest of Office 34 has let you know that they're going to Nikasake, and so you said, well, hey, we've got a case there, and so I'm gonna go ahead and bring the case file with me so we can kill two birds with one stone. And then you take.
And this is case file 4, correct?
Yes. Out of order, which is really just gonna kill me.
Speaking of, since I presumably had the chance to look at this case file beforehand, could I make some of those rolls to see if I could figure out something before I actually left the area? That way I actually have some relevant information for my fellow magistrates.
Ooh,
So
yeah.
it's not seen as if I am lazy.
That's fun. Let's go behind the shogi screen. You two entertain yourselves. Sorry, bye. I love you. I'll be back, I promise. Alrighty, so last week it was decided that since Kyuden Isawa has 3 different libraries in it, it should be easy to find information. So on all knowledge rolls, you get a 1k1 bonus.
Beautiful.
And so what would
It's
you...
fortunate I also have lore everything.
Yeah.
It makes things a lot easier.
And so what would you like to take on?
Let's see here. Firstly, I would like to try the Spellcraft Lore Strigenja / Lore Elements roll. Given that I have... let me see here. You say that I would get plus 1k1 on a lore roll, correct?
Yes.
Due to the amount of libraries within the area.
That's correct.
I'm not able to hear you anymore. I can see that your thing is lighting up, but I have not been able to hear anything.
Man, what a just bummer.
Okay, there it is. There it is.
Yes, you get a 1k1 bonus on lore rolls.
Could I make raises to get more complete or more accurate information?
Not on these rolls, I don't think so.
Okay, got it. It is lucky that I did not raise.
It certainly is. Okay, so the way the cases are described, children are like abducted, sometimes from the very room that people are in. They'll just like look over to their child and they'll be gone. So as a Shugenja, you imagine maybe they're using, it could be a fellow Shugenja that's using air magic of some sort to make themselves invisible.
A most deceitful and terrible practice to use the kami in such a horrid way.
Indeed.
And I would also like to do the investigation one as well.
Okie doke. Hey, bada bing. If you look into it, if you look into the area just a little bit, you know, go through some other case files, you'll actually see that there's a lot more children that are like missing in the area, but the only like murders that are reported, not necessarily from Nikasake, but just from like the map of all the missing children that are linked to the entity. There's a lot more than are reported because they only report the samurai children disappearing, and so there's like a lot more Hinin and Ninin children that are gone and, you know, unreported. So it's not only going after samurai children, it's going after like just children.
Gotcha. And I do not have good enough etiquette to make this next roll, so I am not going to do so.
Okie doke.
Or hold on real quick. Would the other people be able to similar rolls for this as well? or is this strictly a before going out on a mission? Because if so, then there's no reason for me not to try it.
They'll be able to make the rolls. They just won't get the bonus to it.
You know what? I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go ahead and spend a void point because I really want to make up for the failure of being sick during the last case and missing possibly a very important one. Therefore, I'm going to add a void to this and hope for the best.
Hell yeah. Is this the... Ooh.
And so I would get a +1.
You would get a +1, yes. Can anybody hear me, or is it like not working? Yo, YouTube. It's problems every day, man.
We occasionally have this issue with our other game that I play on Discord here. Basically, we just have to make another channel.
Oh, really?
Hey, I'm back. Can anybody hear me?
Gotcha. I was just telling the other two. My other game occasionally has issues like this as well. One of the easiest ways to solve it, at least temporarily for the night, is to create an additional channel and then just go to that one. We've had to make like 6 different channels for my other L5R game.
All right, here we go. Oh, I made it the wrong.
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Sweet. God damn. Okay, so, Ken, I found that if you, just unmute me on, Roll20, you can hear me just fine over there for some reason. So if that's
I can hear you right now, please.
Sweet. So a few days go by, the fellows in Cute and Asako are able to enjoy a slightly more meandering pace as everybody agreed to meet up at the Red Lacquer Inn. Just a few days travel from Nikisake. Let me bring everybody to the world map, or the county map. I don't know. The Phoenix Line map. Ooh, there's no road to Nikisake from where you guys are. How archaic. Oh, I guess there is. Ooh, what a bummer this route is. And we stop in Ukabumura. Very fun name. And it's here that you guys finally meet back up with each other. You're a complete squad again. This is most fortuitous. Please just like reintroduce yourselves to each other, because you just feel like strangers after, so many days apart.
So I'm still looking at the map. Okay.
Yep. That's the Crump.
That's where we are?
Yes.
I believe so, yes. And we still have a while to go before we get to Yan.
Oh, okay. Cool. Greetings, Isawa Shujenko.
Oh shit. Oh god.
Oh god, what have you done?
Well, we'll just leave that for tonight.
Greetings, Isawa-san. I trust that you've had some luck with our second case file.
Some. And then I look at that. I look to Asako. It is very curious. Asako can explain it better than I.
Shujenko will look to the Asako and then bow politely and then say, Asako-san, it is a pleasure to see you again. Now, pray tell, what is it that you need to get me up to speed of? And then, moments later, after they finish talking about it, given that I already heard most of this at the start of this game. I see. That is a troublesome problem to have, certainly. To think that a healer would intentionally spread their poison. It is similar to our first case, is it not? We had a healer happen to go mad, and it sounds like we have another of the same thing. Do you believe that these cases could be connected?
The average baby feeds over.
I had not even considered that particular connection previously. That is a very interesting insight.
While I had seen the connection, I have thought it nothing more than coincidence.
One learns that when one walks the soul of the world, coincidence is not true. Everything is connected within our world. Surely, Asako-san would agree. His connection to the void, well, I cannot imagine the insights that it provides. But this troubles me, as I have always considered myself a healer of sorts. I excelled in medicine in the Osawa Academy.
It is worth noting that much as everything is connected, such connections can in fact lead one astray. As our first case did in fact prove, simply because all is connected does not mean that the particular connection between two things is precisely as it may seem.
That is a wise insight as well. Oh, I almost forgot. And then he'll reach into his obi and produce the fourth case file. I had found that there was another case within Nikasake, and given that we were to head there, I felt it wise that we bring this along. I also took the liberty of doing the research necessary, and I have some insights on it as well. However, I believe that we can save these for until we have talked to the monk who may, in fact, be intentionally poisoning the children of the samurai caste.
Your diligence is merit to your family.
Do you think there is a connection between the two cases? Case 2 has led us to Nikasaki, the very location of case 4.
Well, I will
Tell
admit
me,
that the... Oh, I apologize, Asako-san. Continue.
tell me, did the route this entity take pass anywhere near to
Do.
Dojo?
Do your thing. Be driven.
You
Out of
speak
character, out of character, real quick. The dojo, would that be in this location or around here?
it was Kudinosako.
I do not believe so. The entity itself has been making its way through villages and heading south. As far as I'm aware, it has not hit Kyoto-Nasako. I believe it was last seen up in either Shiro no Airoji Oku or the Michita Yasumi. Out of character, I'm not 100% sure if that's accurate, but given the fact that it's heading south, those were my two guesses. Maybe even Kanawataki. Oh, hello.
Hmm. That's less than ideal. When they seem to be completely logging out of Discord every 2 seconds.
We'll have to switch it up to like the new, the kind of collaborative gaming that seems to be sort of the vogue thing, like the second edition of 7th Sea.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Or there's also another one called Draw Ready Strike.
Yo.
One of them is... Oh, hello there.
Think.
Oh my god, he's alive.
Yo, oof, man. Life, am I right? Actually, if you look at the case file, it's been updated, and the entity has already struck in Nikasake.
Right.
It's ahead of
We were
schedule.
actually asking if it was within the path of Kyuden Asako, but given that it said that it was heading south, I had assumed that it had started somewhere around Shiro no Ayojiru Oku, I believe is how you say that, this guy right here, and then headed southward down to there. My other thought was it had started in perhaps Shirogisu. Okay, gotcha. Yes, in that case, you'll turn to the Asuko and say, it has not been heading in the direction of Kyuden Asako. It had headed southward, near Gisetoshi. The last that it had hit was Nikasake. It is also possible that it had been to Rehado Yuki? This guy right here? As to whether they are interconnected,
That does rule out at least a direct connection, but that does not necessarily rule out a less direct one.
indeed. And moreover, you say that this corruption is not like the Shadowlands taint, but it seems to plague the air around them, correct? And it is mostly the children there that have been experiencing such things?
It is very difficult for me to describe a concept that only those who can truly comprehend the void can properly see. The best I can attempt to explain is, have you ever had a kimono that you have kept over long due to some sentimental attachment? And while it hasn't ripped, the fabric has become more insubstantial over time. It is much like the fabric of that kimono. The kimono is still there, but it is not what it used to be.
I see. Almost as if it is a phasing of a personal self. And as it seems, it is possible that they are connected. Through my research, I have learned that it must be a Shigenja that is behind these missing children. There are reports of them saying that the child was near their mother or in the same area perhaps, and they just suddenly disappeared. It seems to me that someone using the kami for such a sinister purpose is one of the only things that makes sense here. There is another thing as well. I looked deeply within the murder statistics of the area for a long time, and I found that there have been a large rise in child disappearance cases starting 16 years ago, and they have been increasing steadily every single year. I believe that whatever is there, or whatever this may be connected to, has been in operation for a very long time. You say that the healer that you are looking for, they have been delivering children, yes? Do you know how long they have been doing that?
Well, presumably a similar length of time, considering this particular healer midwife one of the contaminated children at the dojo.
At least 17 years.
Then while coincidence is certainly a force within this world, I do not believe that this is coincidence. And another painful thing that I found is that there are more children missing in the area. Many of them are unreported, however, because it is not only samurai children that are missing, but also peasant children. So the issue is much larger than previously thought.
Much like in the first case.
Hi. Much like in our first case. I'm starting to believe that perhaps we were sent on that first case due to our wise magistrates above us, perhaps finding a connection but not knowing what.
And then from one of the open windows of the inn where you guys are currently staying, enjoying your sake, some rice, just a meal, a bird actually flies in through the window and lands on your table. And it looks at Jordan, looks at Tasai. Finally,
I look back at it. Does it happen to have something attached to it?
It finally looks at Hashiro. It nods like it understands, and then it turns to paper. How about that?
I will pick up the piece of paper and attempt to read if something on it, or try to figure out exactly what's happening with it.
Yeah, it's pinned. It's a letter pinned to one Asako Hiroshi. Would you like to breach etiquette and read it?
Oh no! If it's dedicated to him, I will hand it over. I believe that someone has sent you a letter, Asuka-san.
Perhaps it is your sensei.
That would be a most fortunate reply.
And indeed, it is from your sensei. He exchanges the same pleasantries that you shared with him. You know, his daughter's doing all right. He's proud you got into the Tensei dojo. He looks forward to hearing all about that. Office 34 sure sounds interesting. And then he also gets down to business, saying that he's never personally heard of this type of corruption, but he's currently going to checking out all the books of the blue tiled room to check to see if it matches up with the corruption of any other spiritual nature. Also, he wishes to let you know that the as requested by your partner, there's been a raid on the clinic. Sai has been arrested and awaits you in the magistrate's tower of Nigasake, and that they were kind enough to let him take some samples of the powder that she was distributing for him to study. He looks forward to seeing you arrive, and he offers you his hospitality while you're in the city. How much of that did you hear?
All of it.
50%.
I'd say all of it as well.
Dope.
I'd say at least 90%. So
Well, that is good news.
it is indeed. At
This
the
to
very
us.
least, if
Go on.
Sai is the one responsible for this, that will prevent further contamination until we've properly gotten to the bottom of things.
Isuwa-san, you mentioned a number of missing children going back over 2 decades. Are the accounts of these missing children all similar to one another?
Are they similar to one another, GM? There wasn't anything specifically pointed out there.
The cases that you looked up also didn't make too much big of a deal about it.
I cannot say for certain. The methodology of which one takes children for such an extended period of time, I imagined that it would evolve, much like anybody perfecting their craft, no matter how vile it is. As to the similarities, I could not attest.
So we are not even certain that there is one culprit or entity performing these kidnappings. They could in fact be multiple kidnappers.
That is the unfortunate truth.
Very well.
And with that, everybody takes a sad sip of sake and heads to their rooms for the night. Unless, any more talkie. Great.
I don't think so. I think Isuwa might actually get a little, tipsy, perhaps even.
Drinking overmuch. And then we have a very uncomfortable cut to the next morning. It is, the camera is about 1 inch away from Asako Hiroshi's face. It's on his right cheek. It's so close we can see his pores. It's from the back, so we see the crest of the cheek, then the nose, and then eye. And we see beads of sweat rolling down his face as the camera, at a jilted angle, kind of pans out and sees that he's kind of sitting there very sweatily. As the camera pans out over his shoulder, we see he's in a room in the morning, one of the private rooms that you guys were sharing last night. We're here again this morning. Asako Hiroshi's not surprised to be here because this is where you guys agreed that you'd meet in the morning. Isawa Tasai and Isawa Shojinko are formally passed out on the table, but right now they're kind of crawling themselves back awake. If Asako Hiroshi would have to guess, maybe they got plastered last night and just passed out here. But there's
minor tidbit. Shujinko actually does not drink. He would not have gotten plastered that night. He probably would have stuffed himself, though, because he uses eating for emotional comfort. So he was probably feeling terrible for a completely other reason.
Oh, well, it's entirely possible it's for a completely another reason. They both have a glass of tea at their side, no food, and there's kind of a pot of tea currently cooking on one of those little like portable stove things. And the two of you are waking up from some sort of sleep, and Asaka Hiroshi finds himself exiting whatever fugue he was in as he suddenly becomes lucid. And with that lucidity, a memory, in fact. Are you prepared for this, Ken?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good to me. So we have a short flashback, or a short remembrance of about 3 minutes ago. Asaka Hiroshi, in a very unmonkly way, was the last one to wake up. So who knows what was going on there. But he woke up last, and so he's the last to arrive in the tea room. And so when you open up the screen door and close it behind you, you find that your two colleagues are currently passed out at the table, good and well asleep, and there's a third individual in the room with them who's currently pouring a cup of tea for somebody. He's wearing a black kimono, and he's a very pale dude, and his face, you know what? Now that you're thinking about it, you can't really. Your memory, it's hazy. You can't really remember a face. You don't. Nothing really. You're trying to think of features. He has a smile of some sort. You remember him smiling really big, and he was pale, and he had a black kimono on. But you don't remember anything else about the situation. And he holds his hands out towards you, and he says, "Oh, feel free to come in. Feel free." And normally, you'd question this guy. You'd ask him what he did to your friends, but for some reason, you're just like, "Yeah, okay, I'm gonna walk a little closer to this guy." And as the GM, I acknowledge that this might be taking away some agency from your character, but I trust as my player, you will trust me.
Yeah, I understand.
And so, you come closer, and he nods towards you, and he says, "I have greetings towards you. I am also an investigator, and I too have been following the case of Kyuden Asako very closely, and I've been keeping myself up with your work, and I have to say that you've really come to some interesting conclusions. But I think you'll find that your conclusion is wrong. You're currently going to arrest the monk Sai, and I just want to say, after going over the notes myself, it's a bad lead, and you should really stop following it. Yeah." And then he takes out a notebook, a little moleskin that he's been keeping around. Definitely not moleskin. He would not touch flesh. And he flips it open. He says, "But I will not rob you of an explanation, so I think this should be the answers that you go with. Are you familiar with a Shuten doji?" He'll look up at you and wait for an answer.
Let's see. We'll let Lore figure that out. What lore do you think that would be?
Untrained, forbidden lore, Shadowlands.
Okay.
Or maybe trained if you've got it.
Damn it! If only I was awake.
He sees the befuddled look on your face, and he says, "Well, a Shuten doji is one of 3 individuals who are Fulang's personal." He snaps his fingers for a second, much as I am in real life. His senseis of Maho, they're the ones that teach all blood speakers the unsacred rites, as it were. So I believe your theory on this case is that these children, and of course they have bizarre powers beyond any Mahosukai, these children have actually been possessed by a Shuten doji, which would explain why they're vulnerable to crystal, but not jade, because, of the strange powers of the Shuten Doji. And that is your theory, and not the silly one about some sort of healer corrupting her children, which is completely ridiculous. And he snaps up his moleskin, tucks it into his kimono, and will stand to his feet. He says, but with that, I wish you a good day. And he heads towards the screen fence. And now, Ken, if you will make me a willpower test of 15. You can ask him a question if you succeed, and you can ask him an additional question with every raise. But I have a feeling that...
what precisely am I rolling?
Willpower. But I have a feeling just succeeding will be good enough for your character.
No, I mean, like, what am I actually rolling?
Just like a straight willpower test.
Oh, willpower.
Yeah. Cool. You can ask him one question that he will answer truthfully, in quotation marks. As you find the cognizance of mind to at least break out of whatever's got you in a fugue at the moment.
Why does reality seem so thin around these children? Would not a spirit make reality thicker?
Because they're pulled into a separate reality. And with that, he gives you a nod and opens up the screen door, and we're back in the present.
Iswa starts to kind of slowly rouse. He kind of clutches his head and groans a little bit.
I encountered the strangest man last night.
Mm-hmm.
Claims to also be investigating this case, yet he seems to have a very different belief as to what is going on here.
Is that so, Asuko-san? What does he believe is happening here?
Some sort of creature known as a Shuten Doji. I've never heard of such a thing.
Isawa Shujinko's ears perk up at that. And then he re-rolls. Because, luckily, he doesn't think about it initially, but then his massive luck helps him. And then his connection with the void makes the
I love it. Let's see it. Well, now that you mention it, about 80 years ago, you're pretty sure the Phoeni-X clan killed every man, woman, and child that was involved with a Shuten Doji when they destroyed the Snake Clan.
You're absolutely certain that it is something called a Shuten Doji, Asako-san.
That
You
is
not
the
miss
word
here.
that this man used.
Shujinko will get a far-off look in his face and then sigh. If that is the case, Asako-san, then we have to be prepared to murder an entire town. It will be the compassionate thing to do. If a Shuten Doji is indeed there, that town must be exterminated before it spreads. And every person that we know that is corrupted by it will have to taste steel.
That is a most grave warning.
What is this Shuten Doji?
Out of character, I know exactly what a Shuten Doji is. With that roll, would I know?
You would know that. Yeah, I mean, you'd know the basics of what a Shuten Doji is. for sure.
It is not a topic for polite company, Asawa-san, but given that it is our duty, I fear I must bring it up. Ashut and Doji are known as the teachers of Maho. They were the creatures that brought blood magic to the Empire. And if this is Ashut and Doji, then I fear that this village must go the way of the Snake Clan.
The entire village?
If we are to be thorough, the entire village and everyone who has been there in the last 18 years.
And as as he proposes genocide, the screen door opens up, and Asako Hako and Shiba Umbayashi walk in. They go, "How's everybody doing?" They come in with trays of rice.
We find ourselves within the stress of duty.
Umbayashi nods. I know, I hate sleeping inns. Oof.
So it kind of like grunts in affirmative while like kind of holding his head.
And we're going to move on to Nikesake unless anybody has anything else they like to do.
That night as we travel, I will make sure to give that information to the right people.
Okie dokie. So I'm going to move us from this map to this map. Oh. I don't know where you guys appeared, but I appeared somewhere weird. So Nikesake is a beautiful town which has just hit its bust. And it's the political center for the Phoeni-X clan. An embassy for every clan resides in this fair town. The previous Master of Fire, established the peaceful nature of this town when he went to kill a bunch of Crane and then fell in love and became Asako, or not Asako, Agasha. It's a fortified city. It's not on a river. I apologize, but I couldn't find another walled city that in any of the maps I found. So there it is.
Okay.
So there's nonsensically a river in Nikesake. From what you guys, for your taste as Phoeni-X, it's almost distastefully fortified. It's got walls, it's got towers. It's the home point for the Sapphire Legion, which is a famous group of bushi of your land. However, it's a Phoeni-X establishment, so the walls are all whitewashed, and they're beautiful, and there is a moat that surrounds the city, and the moat is full of koi fish, and it's very well taken care of. And the whole town smells like mulberry trees, because it has a very big paper industry, and so there's like groves and groves of it for like miles around the city. So it smells like mulberries and like sawdust, and yeah, it's a very nice town. It rained the night before, so everything's wet and moist, and everything has a very fresh feel to it, which is it's the rain was actually a blessing, because there's a fire that very night that had been burning for a few days, and the rain finally put it out, and the city can rest at ease that the entire place won't go up. So very fortunate.
Where was the fire?
Oh, I guess I guess once we get into town and can start talking to people, we'll figure it out.
Okay.
So I would imagine your first two openings would be Kinsmaster or the Magistrates.
Yeah, since we're magistrates and we're going into another town, we need to go let them know what we're doing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okie doke. And so,
Would we go to the Dynamo for that, or is that?
I too was struggling with that question. I think.
Clan magistrate is.
Okay.
What was that, Ken?
Most likely we'd go to whoever the local clan magistrate is.
Yeah, because you're expected to be here, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys make your way through the just the beautiful streets of Nikesake. They're crowded. You're not used to that because this is actually a city. You see many of the fantastic samurai of other clans who, interest and mystify you with their strange customs and the way they dress, and the scorpions wear masks, and the Hida seems so large and uncouth, but it's all very nice, and the atmosphere of peace, and the makes you appreciate the diversity of the empire. And then you find something that just really gets two of your attentions. As you guys are walking to the Magistrate's Tower, it's actually really close to the blue tiled room, which nobody needs to make a lore roll because it's only one of the most famous libraries in the entire empire. Stacked to the brim with philosophy books of all sorts. And don't two of you have a disadvantage that involves libraries? The answer is yes. Oh, that's skills. So why don't Isawa Tasai and Isawa Shojenko...
I missed a bunch of that.
Do what?
As did I.
Damn it. Oh well. You live some, you lose some. So as you guys are heading to the Magistrate's Tower, you see the blue tiled room, which is only one of the most famous libraries in the entire empire. And I believe two of our investigators actually have to make willpower rolls to not instantly go in there.
I actually need to do that, so hold on.
Oh yeah, I think I do too.
Yeah, the magistrate's office can wait. I immediately start heading towards that library.
1 second.
I mean, we are expected after all, so it makes sense. Yeah, I can just I'll be there in a second. It's fine.
All right, so Asako, you're kind of blown backwards as both of your companions decide to shirk their duty for a little bit and go to explore the blue tiled room. What are you gonna do?
Sorry, repeat that last bit. You cut off midway.
Both your companions are currently shirking their duty to go to a library. What are you gonna do about it?
When Shujenko leaves, Isua just will look at Asako and say, I must follow. There could be trouble after all. Yeah. And then I follow.
I presume you mean you follow the library?
Yes.
Asako-san, certainly letting the local magistrate know what we're doing is a very important duty and one that I feel you are very well suited to. So I'm going to go find information. He's already walking away as he's saying this, essentially. He's saying, yeah, you're just gonna, you can do it. It's fine.
And Isua doesn't even say anything. He just kind of goes, and and like kind of waves his hand like, yes, go.
By the way, Zach would make his way to the local magistrate just to present himself.
Okie doke, then you do so. You head towards the magistrate's tower, where they are, of course, expecting your arrival, and you're welcomed in. The local magistrate was in a meeting, but as soon as he heard that somebody from a important office was around, he dropped it and came out to meet you. He bowed towards you. Magistrate, son, it's a pleasure to have you here. Is there? I expected you'd be here for a follow-up visit once the clinic burnt down.
You've cut out again.
Ken, I need you to unmute me on Roll20.
Okay, 1 sec.
Ooh, if I'm even broadcasting on Roll20, I'm not. What about now? Woohoo! Damn it. But now I'm broadcasting. Perfect.
I can hear you.
I can also hear you.
Sweet.
I heard you double.
Alright, let's make that a single here and we'll move on with our lives. The magistrate of the office bows towards you, says it's a pleasure to meet you, and that he expected a member of your office would arrive for a follow-up once the clinic burned down.
Burned down?
Yes, just a few days ago, there's a freak fire in the clinic. Caught fire and burned to the ground. We only managed to put it out last night.
That is a rather curious timing of things.
Indeed, especially in the middle of an investigation. Luckily, your office was able to get a hold of the suspect before that evidence disappeared as well.
Do you precisely mean the healer in question?
Yes, sir. Just a little bit before the clinic burnt down, I recall that 2 members from your office arrived to take her into their custody.
How much of the structure remains?
Mostly just the skeleton of the thing. I haven't. It burned for quite a while. I've never seen anything like it.
I do have a secondary question, specifically regarding the single disappearance. When did that occur?
The single disappearance for the case 4?
Yeah.
Well, that question we'll answer after this segue over to the blue tiled room where
Sure.
2 fellows are currently just up to their necks in books. What exactly are you guys researching today?
I think I would try, if possible, to look into the disappearances. that that Shujenko mentioned earlier.
Is this one of those libraries that has a restricted section that one would not be able to easily access?
Definitely.
And given that I am a clan magistrate on an important mission, and it is essential that I gain as much information as possible, is there a way I could get the said knowledge?
I suppose with an etiquette bureaucracy roll.
Well, I'm just really into this. It's a massive library. Hey, it might have information that I need. So, yeah, I'm going for this. And I'm going to spend a void point because it is probably essential that I get this information. Possibly the fate of an empire. Definitely the fate of this library and everyone in it. So, yeah.
Sweet. It's going to be a 10 to 15.
19.
That's a shame. I meant 20, but I said 15, so tragically the TN was 15. Sweet, yeah. Did you know that the Crane clan and the Scorpion clan should be combined together to make the Hot clan, and that way the elements will be balanced and misfortune will stop coming to the Empire? You should start the Heresy of the Five Rings.
Well, that was the hope. So, in this area with forbidden knowledge, I'm going to be looking up anything I can about the senseis of Maho and trying to figure out all the information that is absolutely possible that I can on the matter.
Ooh, very naughty. All right, make that that forbidden lore roll. I can't wait until we get to honor checks today.
Hey, what now?
Go ahead and make the forbidden lore roll for me. With a 1K1, it's gonna be, let's do 25.
I'm going to use my second reroll on this.
Alrighty.
Thank you, Luck.
2 19s in a row. Alright, so you do some research. You look at some scrolls printed on human flesh. You know, you go the whole route. You wear gloves, no doubt. And you come out of the situation feeling fairly confident that it's not a Shuten Doji. At least from the one example in the history books that you have. When they possess people, it usually spreads like wildfire. And I think the rules are...
I will breathe a sigh of relief knowing that I don't have to murder an entire town.
That's right. The way possession works is one of them, if you look at them, you become possessed. If you hear one of them, you become possessed. And if you touch the other one, you become possessed. So, hey,
if you hear the other one.
Yeah. So it's unlikely that something so easily transmissible over the course of 16 years would have spread to only one city, or even with all the kidnapping cases, it should be much more widespread.
Yeah, if that was the case, then there's no way that this is what this is. So clearly someone's just trying to mess with us, and that's a little more disconcerting, honestly, because one of them, you at least have a clear idea of what to do. But in this one, not so much. However, armed with my amazing knowledge and probably thoroughly satisfied with the quality of the research that I've done, I'm going to go ahead and attempt to leave the library and go and find Asako-san to give him the good news.
Sweet. Asawa Tasai, would you make your research roll?
And what would that be?
Let's do knowledge investigation.
Alright.
You get a 1K1 bonus for being in a library.
Train.
So you're going through some reports, right? And you I do too much improv. I never want to say you fail.
Yes, and
Yeah. um. You fail.
Does he find some incredibly interesting reports about the amount of rice that this region has produced over the last 30 years?
He does. It's great. There's been a lot of rain in the region lately, so just the rice fields have been really prospering, and you do find reports of, you look at all the stories of children being abducted that you can, but from the reports that you read and what you're looking at, it doesn't look like there's any similarities from it. You're reading like scientific journals, and everybody seems to have their own theory on it, and you can't really find anything concrete. But your thirst for knowledge for the moment has been quenched, and so at last you will rejoin with your associate back at the magistrate's tower. So Ken, what was the question you originally asked?
Me?
Ken.
What was the question I initially asked?
What was the question that Asako Hiroshi asked?
Oh.
Oh, it was about the disappearance, right? Can you guys hear Ken?
I can't hear you. Like I could hear something, but your volume is too low or something.
It just keeps cutting out for me, essentially. Like, I'll hear a little bit of something, and then nothing for another, 3 seconds, and then so forth.
This would be a really dope game if we could connect. Well, until Ken returns, you two will, I guess, be overseeing this particular line of questions. So you arrive at...
I'll meet up with Isawa-sai as we walk in and say, Isawa-san, I have some good news.
Yes?
We do not have to kill everyone in this entire village. If it was, as Asako-san said, this would have spread like wildfire 16 years ago.
Well, that is indeed good news.
However, it does bring a rather odd line of questioning. Who was the man who claimed to be the magistrate that you spoke to? Why would they send us in such a, shall we say, incorrect direction? It sounds like somebody wants this case to not be found out.
There is much we do not know about the ongoings of the Office 34. How would he have even known we were investigating? Similarly, the Ronin who visited me, how did they even know what cases we were working on?
1, 2, bar.
Boy's back.
I can hear you.
I also can hear you.
Ken, I just want to say, I'm glad I'm not the only one.
It would seem there is someone within our office leaking information. But also, I agree with you. The person who tried to give us misinformation, perhaps they were trying to mislead us. Perhaps they were just wrong in their assessment.
It is unfortunate that we do not have a more straightforward answer to this, but I believe that you are correct. It is possible that they simply were misinformed. Though if that is the case, I had heard many rumors about this office, but I never heard a rumor about the magistrates being inadequate at their duties. Therefore, I must conclude one of two things. The first is that that man was not an investigator in our office. It is possible it was something else masquerading as such a thing to try and lead us off this trail of the scent. Or option two, you are correct, and someone is leaking information. And if that is the case, that is incredibly serious. We would have to find out who.
Indeed. There is another, perhaps there is another option. It is also very possible that we are merely being spied on from afar. Perhaps using the kami? I am not sure.
The person who I believe is behind these disappearances, I do believe to be a Shigenja. The kami could be spying on us in such a way. And if that is so, we must be cautious with how we proceed.
Indeed.
So Ken, you're back with us?
Yeah.
Nailed it. All right. So you were asking about the disappearances now?
Yeah.
Okie doke. It was a boy child by one of the more prominent bushi of the city. He was both his parents are very busy, so he's taken care of by like a nanny. A maid. I'm not sure what the word is in Rokugan, but he was taking care of his maid. The maid just like he's just like a few months from completing his Genpuku. The maid basically tucked him in for the night and left the room to get him something to drink. And when she came back, the boy was gone, and the window wasn't disrupted, so they hadn't like crawled out the window while she was gone for like a minute. And yeah.
Really does not seem like sort of thing I expected.
What were you expecting?
I know not exactly what I was expecting, but one would think that there would be some sort of outward sign of it occurred.
Indeed, Samurai-san, whoever did this is very skilled. Luckily, it's only been confined to a Phoeni-X so far.
Oh?
Yep, that was the one child that we have reported stolen. If it was to happen to one of the diplomat's children, we would,
That would be disastrous.
Indeed. So we appreciate your office's assistance in the matter.
Regarding the doctor, I have heard that you supposedly have them detained. How has the suspect been behaving in the past few days?
She seemed, she never denied any of the charges brought against her, but she seemed very calm and self-assured. although she never provided any information to our questioning, and we were holding off any torture until your office was on site.
It's most appreciated. Very well. I suppose we ought to begin our investigation.
And just as you say that, your two allies enter the room.
Asako-san?
Asako-san, we have good news.
What news have you?
We do not have to kill everyone in this town.
Pardon me?
There was a supposed investigator we met upon the road who claimed that these disappearances were the work of a shooting doji.
But they're not.
They are not, according to... Please explain further.
A shooting doji is a terrible beast, and there are 3, each for the main sins. If you hear one, you become one of its slaves. If you see one, you become one of its slaves. And if one touches you, it becomes one of their slaves. It is quite simple to say that if such a thing was behind this, we would already be under siege, essentially. There is no way that is what this is. Even within a single hour, I suspect most of this area would have been taken by such a terrible creature.
Well, that is a great relief.
It is indeed, though it makes spicy that stranger one. Whether this was deliberately mislead or simply...
I believe that we were being deliberately misled. That is my current theory. It is entirely possible that the man you met, though they claimed to be an investigator, was not an investigator.
I did consider that possibility. Though if one is attempting to mislead such a path, that does imply that should we see this individual again, he must immediately be arrested. It is a pity I do not... There's a lack of clarity in my memories of this.
Well, can you provide us with a description?
I'd mostly describe it exactly the way you did, where I couldn't really describe any features of it. The fact, the smile, very strange feeling.
Hold on, Asako-san.
To simply being so early in the morning.
Asako-san, did you say that this being, that you could not see their face?
I cannot seem to remember.
Real quick, I'm gonna make a lore everything roll.
Okay.
This is specifically in relation to the lying darkness.
Oh, really? Something with no face? Well, you've heard of something like that before. You believe in the realm of heaven? There are, beings that, dress in very courtly fashion, but they don't have faces. Maybe he was visited by a friendly spirit from Tengoku.
I will keep that information to myself and then say, It is odd. I have not known you to be an imperceptive person, Asako-san. It seems to me that there is something more happening here. Forgive me, Asako-san, for I am not a Ishikendo. Is it not possible that you were seeing through the void at the time?
It is not entirely impossible. Being not fully. Though there did seem to be a physical presence, so I would call him for a team.
I see. Well, whatever this is, they don't want us investigating for some reason. And I believe that is more than enough reason to investigate.
I agree, especially considering the dangers associated with the case.
Hey, Asuka-san, you're kind of breaking up a little bit as you're talking.
Indeed, it seems very, very unwise to discount the possibility when there's such a dangerous being present in the countryside.
Indeed.
Those who would attempt to mislead in such a case likely do not have good motives behind them.
I believe we should go and find our suspect. I wish to speak with her.
Do we think this being who you met with, perhaps it was a dream?
Ooh.
I have not had many dreams while standing.
Give yourself a void point for that.
I rise quite early, much like those among my family.
Atsuko-san, were that the case, then it is known that the realm of Yumido is one of the closest to Ningendo. It is possible that the realm of dreams could have spoken to you, but I do not believe it is something we can truly figure out. The moment has passed, and unfortunately, within Ningendo, time flows as a river does, not as the ocean. I believe we should focus on the case that we have here. We must speak to this person who is in custody.
You may find it of note that the site of the supposed contamination no longer exists in its former form. It may be that the doctor present managed to arrange the destruction of the site.
What has happened?
A most severe fire has claimed the building almost in its entirety.
Do they know the source of this fire? Are there magistrates investigating it?
Has anyone spoken with the Kami?
Oh, I was so into your guys' role playing that when you asked me a question, I was like, "What?" I have to toe the line between incompetence and just like cartoonish incompetence. It appeared that arson was the case of, and it's not been a particularly dry season, and when we were casing the joint, we made sure to put out all open flames. In fact, it was I don't know, That's too good of information. It was only after we received your, Never mind. That wouldn't make any sense. My apologies for for what just happened. Continue. I was gonna say it was only after we knew that you were coming here that they it caught on fire, but they wouldn't have arrested her unless they knew you were coming, so that'd make no sense.
I suspect we should visit the site of the burned shop and maybe speak with local law enforcement before speaking with the suspect.
The magistrate will pipe in at that moment. My apologies, but I don't wish to waste any more of your time, but I think there's been a miscommunication. We've already handed over the suspect to your office.
I'm sorry?
Yes, just the day before, as I told your Asako friend, just the day before the fire, 2 men from your office arrived at the magistrate's office here and took her into their custody. You must have missed them on the road or something. I'm sorry there's been a miscommunication.
What was the names of these 2 individuals?
He taps his name on his chin and he he calls one of the other magistrates over and says, "Can we get the release forms for the Sai prisoner?" She goes, "Oh yes, of course," and heads off for a few minutes. And eventually she comes back. Alright, so it was Shiba Yuko and Shiba Kinji.
Are those our Yojimbo?
No, they're not.
There is no one at our office by that.
He furrows his brow, but that's impossible. They had badges denoting that they were from your office, and he looks embarrassed for a minute. May I see your badges, actually? Your signs of office.
Sako would present his.
Yeah, I present
Isawa presents this as well.
identification.
He nods. He says, "Yes, they looked exactly like these ones."
I slowly look at my 2 compatriots.
We need to know everything that you know about these 2 men. What were their heights, their builds? What were the color of their hair? How did they wear it? You say that they bore armands, but what color were their robes? Did they wear any symbols of any clan?
They wore the colors of the Phoeni-X clan. They had very nice robes on. It looked like they had money. The first one I named, did anybody write that name down? Because I destroyed it instantly.
Which name?
The first one that I named. No? Okay, well.
I can't hear you.
The first magistrate that I named, did anybody write that name down?
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't write those.
Yeah,
down.
I didn't think so.
I did not either.
Sweet.
So
it's
we can just make new ones up.
Yeah, it's now Hina.
Asako Bob and Asako Tim.
No, I have the second name. Shiba Hina, who was a female. She also dressed very nicely. She was very short. She was under 5'5". She had intricate baubles in her hair. And then there was Shiba Kenji, who was also quite short, very well dressed, clean shaven. He had top knot. Looked pretty powerful.
So Shiba Hina, dressed nightly, just under 5 feet tall, baubles in her hair. Shiba Kini, clean shaven with a top knot. What were their builds? Average, slim, large?
Oh, about insight rank 3. Average, I would say, for both of them. She's just under 5'5". She's not just under 5 feet. That'd be.
And they claim to be from Kyuden Isawa.
They claim to be from Office 34 is all. The information I got, they seem to be up to date on your case.
And this was yesterday?
4 days ago.
4 days ago.
4 days ago. Okay.
The fire was.
How
3 days
many?
ago.
How many inns are there in the city?
It's what a question. There's an embassy for every clan. There's 3 major inns. You're currently staying at the God damn, what was it? Peach and Blossom, I think is what it's called. The Plum and Peach, that's what it was. And there's a number of geisha houses that offer overnight staying, and there's a number of whorehouses that offer overnight staying.
We'll have to check each area based on population, of course, and the most popular from the least popular. Talk to people about the descriptions here, and perhaps we'll be able to find somebody who has seen them. Although it is equally as likely that they simply left town immediately.
But perhaps they stayed before, like the night before.
That's entirely possible.
Hi, it is. This case became more complicated. However, we have much to do here. I feel that we should seek these two. They seem to be a priority. If they are taking the only witnesses that we have from these crimes, it will make them nearly impossible to complete.
Indeed. And what about case 4?
Let's see. Well, we do need to figure out what is happening with the disappearance of these children. We need to interview the parents of all the children that have gone missing, as well as go to the sites of the location. It is possible that if we go to the most recent one, the spirits will be able to give us a description of what happened. We will need to do the same thing with the burnt area as well. If we speak to the spirits, they can provide us guidance of where to look, if nothing else.
Very well. Shall we do that then?
Hi, let us do just that.
If they truly have a 4-day head start on us and have decided to leave the city, we may not be able to catch them.
Isawa-san, you do not know how good of a hunter I am.
I do not.
It is not something that has come up, but if they have left any discernible trace, they will be found.
No.
I cannot hear you, Asako-san.
Are you speaking over Roll20? Then I will enable that.
Oh yeah, I should probably enable that too. Hold on one sec here.
Oh wait, I already have that enabled.
Ruh-roh.
Okay, it is now enabled. Say something. If you are saying something, I cannot hear it. Indeed.
Okie dokie. We'll be
Also,
here when
given... I did it.
you...
I thought of the best thing. Turn it on again and off again. We may also want to split up given the, shall we say, vastness of all of the evidence that we have to go through and all the interrogations we have to do. It'll also give me a moment to get away from the group and ask us something of some.
Okay.
Sweet. Who wants to take what?
I shall go.
It's clear that you have to be able to talk to the spirits in order to talk to the spirits. So, probably Asako-san and I should split up the two areas that we need to speak to. Thus, one person should go investigate the burnt down place. Given that I'm a fire shugenja and it's the side of a fire, I think that it might make sense for me to go. Let's see here.
I shall go check the inns.
Sweet. Fun fact, the last time we were in Nikosake, Ken had to restart his computer, and it was like 8 hours of Windows updates. So that was the last time we saw him for that session.
Boy.
Anyway, let's start with the venerable Isawa Tasai.
Okay.
Let's get an investigation for you. TN 50, TNF 20.
I was gonna say, spend them void points, man.
Yeah. Right. Investigation. So I will be dropping 2 void points on this.
You did it.
Oh, I should have also. I always forget to take a raise, but whatever.
So it takes you the entire day, but you go through all the usual spots. You check out all the inns and tea houses and geisha houses and everything you can. Eventually you head to the boop, 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 boop. Oh, that's interesting. Damn it. And eventually you head towards the you check out the castle of the Lord, basically. And you ask around for the two fellows, and they will actually tell you that they did in fact spend one night in Nikosake. As guests of the Lord, they were visiting magistrates and...
Sorry, what was that? Guests of the Lord?
Yeah, the governor of Nikasake. They were actually chilling out in his crib.
And right, did they know what was their business here?
They were from Office 34, and they're here to take a prisoner for questioning.
Did they question the prisoner?
Presumably once they had her in custody. The assumption is they're bringing them back to Kyuden Isawa for the questioning itself.
And where did they arrive from?
Kyuden Isawa. That's what their papers said.
Did any servants wait on them? I don't know what the term would be for servants, but
they kept to themselves. They ate the food from their packs, and other than introducing themselves to the Lord and the major domo, they kept to themselves as much as possible, it seems.
may I speak with someone who spent the most time with them within the castle?
Probably the major domo of the castle.
May I speak with the major domo?
Go ahead and make yourself a courtier roll. It'll be an easy Tiana 15.
Hmm.
Oh, for a magistrate, of course. Yeah, let me. I'll be right back. You stay here, or you can come if you want. Can I get you anything to eat while I'm gone? I'll be right back. And after a pause, the major domo arrives and bows to you. Another magistrate from Office 34. Well, it's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I'm glad to be of assistance.
Of course. The prior two magistrates, I would like to be shown the room or rooms that they have stayed in.
Of course, sir. And he takes you to the guest.
Can you describe?
Go on.
Can you describe them to me?
Yeah, he gives the same description that the magistrate gave.
Okay. Yeah, I don't notice any okay, yeah, sure. I'm gonna do like a kind of walkthrough or an investigation of the rooms where they stayed to see if there's any like clues.
Okay. No roll necessary. As you patrol around, see these rooms have been cleaned by servants 4 days ago, so anything that remains would certainly have been swept up. But you do feel as you enter, there's a familiar feeling towards you. It's like it's hard to breathe when you're in this room.
It's like the what?
It's like it's hard to breathe while you're in this room.
Oh.
And then after.
So that's the same thing.
Yeah.
That I felt. That I felt when the Ronin was there.
Yes.
And at the dojo, correct?
At the dojo, you felt the opposite effect when Kinlight strengthened the void around you.
Oh.
So while these people make it hard for you to breathe, when Kin used that spell, you found it easier to breathe and felt more energetic.
Um. Is there anything you could? Uh, well, okay. So I will explain. These two individuals, they were not from Office 34. They were imposters. I am entirely unfamiliar with who they are or where they have come from. Did anything strike you as odd about them? Or do you have any information that you could provide me that could help me locate them? Or give me their whereabouts?
When you say odd, is there something I should be looking for?
And suddenly, that is when Isawa connected with the void and remembered Asako-san mentioning the one thing having a very fuzzy face that they cannot remember.
What?
They had faces.
Yeah.
They
Hopefully
just
they didn't
looked
have...
like two, blue-blooded, all Rokugani boys and girls.
When I say odd, I mean just anything out of the ordinary. Anything that didn't seem to fit in.
They were certainly a mite bit more antisocial than the other magistrates we've encountered, but other than that, I didn't find anything about them off-putting or, out of the ordinary. They just seemed like,
Did they have
dedicated
horses?
to the job. No horses, no. Which will strike you as weird just for the sheer fact of they could only possibly get this information after you, and so beating you to the castle by 4 days is staggering.
So 4 days ago, where were we? Out of character.
4 days ago, you had already left Kyuden Asako, and we're on the road.
Okay. So wherever they were close by.
Hello?
Hi.
Hola.
All right. I will go back to since that took most of the day, I'll just go back to the inn where we're staying and catch up with the others.
Rad. Jordan's heading over towards the
So
burnt
what did I miss
fireplace.
while Windows decided to be terrible to me?
I just went to the inn, or I went and tried to find where those people stayed, and it turns out they stayed at the governor's house under the guise as Office 34 magistrates, and it was the day before they picked up the prisoner, I believe, right?
Yes.
And at that point, we were still in...
You'd left
we were
Asako.
still in Kyuden Asako. So I'm wondering if that means their kind of base of operations is nearby.
That does seem like...
But anyway, I haven't... That's all that's happened. I went alone, so
Yeah, and then Asako-san and myself were going to divide the task of either talking to the families of the children that have gone disappearing or studying the burnt down building. Given that I'm guessing that the Asako-san doesn't really like talking to people all that much, Shujinko was going to offer to talk to the families.
In that case, Sako will go investigate the building.
Sweet, sweet. So we go to the family whose child was stolen from them. She is a prominent bushi who serves the governor of Nikasake. She is just deep in grief as you begin to interview her.
Gotcha. So she is currently angry, correct?
I cannot hear Chris right now.
Let me see. I guess you couldn't hear me if I said that. I'm broadcasting, kid. Don't worry, man. It's supposed to be confusing. Yep.
Okay,
so
I'm not getting you through Roll20 right now, but I am getting you through Discord.
I'll refresh, but I'm broadcasting on Roll20. I can see it.
And just to confirm, you said that her name was Isake, correct?
Yes.
Isake-san, thank you for meeting with me. Before we begin, I must say that what you are going through is a most difficult thing. Losing one's child is horrible. And I am here to get to the bottom of whatever it is that caused this. I have questions for you. Are you able to take them?
Yes, I will. I will answer them to the best of my ability.
The first question that I have was, how long ago did this occur?
Let me calculate the timeline. This happened 2 days ago.
2 days ago. And describe to me exactly what happened.
I was absent from the house attending to the governor's mansion. My maid was taking care of the child. He needs milk to settle his stomach for the night, so she left to, because he has nightmares. So she went to get him some milk. Then when she came back, he was gone.
I see. Tell me, Isake-san, when the child was missing, there was no disturbances, no sign of forced entry. There was not, say, a window that they could have gotten through that was unhinged.
No, all the windows in the house were sealed, and we checked, and there's no footprints in the windowsills or anything like that. It's as if they just walked in through the main door and walked out.
I see. At the conclusion of this interview, I would like you to take me there. I am a priest, and I can speak with the spirits that inhabited this home. Perhaps they will give me some clarity as to where to start. As it stands, I have a few more questions for you before I have you take me there.
Oh, but magistrate's on. We're in the house right now.
How old was your child?
My child was 14. It's a real shame because he was going to be a great bushi, probably the greatest of Lord Takayama's, and now my husband and I are gonna have to produce a new heir for him.
I have no doubt that your son would have been the finest bushi in these lands. Isaki-san, as odd as this question may seem, I must ask, did your child happen to have any enemies, rivals, anyone who would wish harm upon them?
She thinks quite a lot on this, and she says, I do not think so. I haven't heard any reports of him getting in trouble with any of the, with his sensei or any of the other students.
Has your child been in contact with a monk known in this village by the name of Sai?
Not to my knowledge. Who is he?
They are a healer that are quite talented, from what I hear. Your child has been in good health then most of their life?
He has bouts of sickliness, actually.
When he has bouts of sickliness, where is it that you take him for medication?
And she names oh, actually our maid is quite a talented herbalist. And so she usually takes care of his medical problems.
And where is your name now, Asuki-san?
Oh, she's at the house.
I believe that is all the questions that I have for you, Asaki-san. I would like for you to call your maid to me. I have some questions for her.
Okie doke. And moments pass, and the peasant is brought into you. She kowtows, looking demurely at her feet.
What is your name?
Chris sighs loudly as he goes to the page and clicks randomize. Una.
Hello, Una. My name is Isawa Shujinko. I am a clan magistrate of the Phoeni-X clan. I understand that you were the last person that was seen with Isake before their disappearance.
While the mother looked pretty angry about the whole situation, you can see that the peasant girl's just barely holding back tears.
And she nods to the affirmative.
Isaki-san, may I have some privacy with Una, please?
She nods and exits the room, grumbling under her breath.
Shujinko takes in a deep breath, sighs, and then straightens his posture and looks at Una and then says, I do not believe that you are the cause of what happened here. But I do need to ask you these questions. Answer them honestly to me, and this will all be over. Tell me, how is it that you learned herbalism? From what I recall, most peasants do not have access to such knowledge.
My family's lived in Nikasake for a long time, and we make a good living serving the samurai, so we've been able to buy scrolls over the generations from the shop.
And tell me, Una, there are things that we hide from our parents that we do not hide from others. Isake-san told me that her son did not happen to have any enemies or anyone who wished to see them harmed. Is that true? Or do you happen to know of anyone that would fit that description?
But can Ken hear me on roll 20 is my real question.
Hello. Perfect. Hi, guys.
Hello.
No, he
Hey.
had no enemies. He was the sweetest child in the world. Everybody loved him.
Would you take me to their room, please? I may have more questions for you after I speak to the spirits there.
Of course. And she slides open a room. It's pretty
I
plain.
can't hear you via roll 20 now. I'm going to see if Discord's working.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I can seem to hear you right now.
Awesome. The
I can hear
room,
you as well.
the room seems to be pretty boring. There's some knickknacks and whatnot, but it's not all too heavily decorated.
Is there a fireplace within the room? Or any other source of heat?
No, I wouldn't think so.
Okay. In that case, I'm going to start communing with the spirits of Earth.
Okie doke.
Gonna go ahead and do one raise for additional clarity and stop it there because my Earth ring is not that good. So TN.
Are you asking me for the TN?
God damn it. It's 15. I did not make it.
Oh.
Frustrated at their lack of response, I'm going to try again.
I believe that raises the TN by 5 points, doesn't it?
And it doesn't work anyway, so that's a non-starter.
Yeah, the Earth just really isn't that interested in this kid's piddly-ass problems.
I guess not. Well, that is a non-starter. Okay. I'll go back to Una and say, did he happen to what were the places he usually hung around? The names of any of his friends?
Just because I refuse to expand the tree of NPCs on this one. He usually hung out at the dojo, and then went to the monastery out in this monastery right here. Boop. He's very religious. I think he wanted to become a monk, but his mom was pretty dead set on him becoming a bushi. Not that's my place to judge either way.
It is not the place of any of us to decide our path in life. What is the best for the clan is what matters. I suppose I must go speak with the monks.
Yes.
Thank you for your time.
They'll probably know him. They've often consulted him on the his nightmares that he's had.
Nightmares. You've not mentioned anything about nightmares. Tell me, had he ever told you what his nightmares were?
He always dreams that he's in a... It's always the same dream. He always dreams that he's it's really just been the past few months, but he's in a white room, and he's being watched. He knows he's being watched, and he's like chained to a tree of some sort, and he can't move, and he's just has the feeling of eyes on him. What do you think that means?
Let's go behind the shoji screen real quick.
Okie dokie. Later, nerds. What's
It
good?
sounds very familiar to me as a player. Given that Shujinko is not exactly top tier within his organization, would he know anything about anything like this?
Are you implying like sleeper agent stuff? What's that?
Exactly. It sounds like he has been being taken as a sleeper agent for some time now.
No, unless you yourself are a sleeper agent and have similar nightmares, I don't think you'd know anything about it.
Oh no, I'm not a sleeper agent. I'm an active willing agent. Okay, back to general then.
Hey, what's good? We back.
I see. It sounds to me as if he feels trapped by the life that he has chosen. It seems that his anxieties over his path in life caused him to have these bad nightmares. The eyes are representative of what Rokugan itself looks upon those who are to be bushi of some kind. The expectation of greatness because you are a samurai.
Wow,
truth,
that is
this
very
is-
insightful, Samurai-san.
I believe it is a dream that all samurai have at one point or another. Nobody ever feels they can match the perfection that they expect in their head, unless you're a foolish lion.
Oh,
But thank you, Una, for your time. If I have any additional questions, I will come back and ask more.
Thank you.
And then with that, I'm going to go ahead and head out and try and meet up with the Asako, who hopefully has had more luck with this burning building situation.
All right, Ken, you come to the clinic. Can you hear me before we do anything?
yes, I can hear you.
Excellent. It is.
Discord, not 3roll20, so it may not be as consistent. I will let you know if it ends up being all cutty again.
I have no doubt it will. The clinic is just a burnt skeleton of a building, completely covered in ash. If you like walk the perimeter, look through the ash and stuff, it seems that it's just slag and filth at this point. What do you want to do?
And of course, now you're starting that out.
Dope. It's a real burnt down building. Much destruction. What would you like to do?
You know, interesting fact, I actually saw a house burn down this week.
It looks
In real life?
It looks just like that.
Yes. Several, 7 houses to the north, there was a house fire 2 days ago, and 2 houses were totaled, and 1 has external damage.
Damn.
Hmm.
When I was a kid, I saw a house burnt down,
First
and
time
I
I
was
ever
like
saw such
traumatized
so
for life.
close.
So
Sounds
my favorite part of this plan was that we
Well,
were.
there's not much that I can directly see, but I probably would go to wherever it looks like it might have used to be a storage area,
Okay.
and I'd set aside.
Alrighty, go ahead. Just doing everything in his power to not commune with Fire Kami. And there are trace amounts of non-existence within the building, so this is certainly the building. However, you remember from your letter, a good amount of the stuff was actually taken out of the building and is currently in the possession of your master.
Yeah, I just wanted to mostly see whether at the stage of storage within the building is already contaminated or not.
Yes.
Is there anything else I sense walking a circle around the site?
There are no shadows watching you from the rafters. You just sense the powder, really. What's left of it.
There's probably not much else I can glean considering the state of the building.
Yeah, it's pretty well erased.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna try communing with the Fire Kami.
Here we go. All right.
This is going to go badly.
Now, as you're walking around, you do sense kind of kind of a hard to breathe feeling that your good buddy Tasai has described when he was talking about the Ronin. And, you know, he's a filthy muggle. He has no way. He doesn't know the glory of the kami. But, you know, as an enlightened individual, you actually know this feeling, or you're at least trained in it somewhat. The kami in this area are, you know, being suppressed somehow. So to commune with them, or to cast that spell that you just cast? Ooh, I wonder if the void applies.
Try communing. It will probably go poorly.
It's a minus 2k2 while you're in one of these.
Oh god.
One of these suffocating areas.
This is going to go very badly. I'm going to void point cast because this is going to go well.
No, it's gonna be tight. You're gonna make it.
Well done.
As for the sense void.
Didn't actually seem to roll. So. Why are you not rolling?
Roll20 is just like, fuck you guys. You're trying to have fun. You're trying to solve mysteries. No, not in our house.
Closing the character sheet and reopening it, seeing if that makes it cooperate.
This roll isn't the 30?
No, the 30 was sense void from earlier.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm gonna exit out and come back in and see if that fixes it.
The suspense.
And if not, I'm just gonna manually roll. Alright, manually roll it is. It's basically spell keep. No, wait, insight rank keep element is. Roll. Yeah, no.
Yep,
that went badly.
That's about as I expected. A hand of fire comes out and slaps you in the face. So we see a picture of Hiroshi kind of sweating as he does the ritual to perform, to commune with the fire kami, and it goes exactly how he expected, and they have no interest in talking to you today.
Well, he shrugs and wanders off towards where his sensei is.
Gave it the old college try.
Yeah. Fire is not his thing. There's a reason why he normally uses it to cast void spells.
The whole crux of this campaign is going to be Asako has to cast a fire spell to save the universe. And it's gonna be good. Alrighty, anything else you'd like to do with that?
Not at the site, no.
Alrighty then, I guess our final scene for the day will be, us convening back with the information as I give up any hope of, knocking out these sessions in the timeline I set up.
Well, you had said, what, 9 to 12? Maybe this is just closer to 12?
Yeah, I was aiming for 9. It looks like it's gonna be 12.
Yeah.
So what were the inn was the Gin Blossom? Is it an inn or a tea house?
The Peach and Plum. It's an inn. It's a real upscale inn. It's very nice.
Okay. I assume at this point did I get there first, or
I think the guy
or
who
last?
looked around a burnt house and then didn't talk to Fire Kami probably got there first. I think
Okay.
you definitely got there last. You were putting in the legwork.
So I'll arrive, and you said I arrived last, I believe.
Yes.
So I imagine the two of you are already maybe sitting down at a table or something.
Yes,
Likely
more
so.
than likely.
And I'll arrive and I say, I hope your investigations have been fruitful.
All I have gleaned was the fact that even stored within the clinic, the contamination was present in the medication.
Despite
Beyond
the
that,
fire.
Very little I could discover, as the site is almost entirely destroyed.
Do you suspect arson?
I cannot say for certain. The Fire Kami were not forthcoming with me. There was a very strange suppression of the Kami within the area.
Perhaps I should make an attempt to speak to the Fire Kami there. But unfortunately, I did not glean much information myself. I learned only that the most recent boy to be taken was 14 years of age, had nothing but friends, no enemies. The only investigation thread that I could find was that he occasionally spoke and spent his days with monks near outside the city. It is the only lead that I can think of, but it does not help the previous case whatsoever, and we are still no closer to finding out who these imposters are.
I do believe we should inform our superiors that there are individuals posing as members of our office.
Aye, that would be wise.
Can the Kami do this for us?
I know not such a spell.
Nor do I, but I know that we could simply send a letter.
So I discovered, and then I've kind of already retold what I discovered, so I'll relay the information. And then I say, it would seem that we can take the time from when Sai was apprehended to the time that the imposters showed up. So, out of character, how many days ago was Sai apprehended?
4 days ago.
I thought she was set free 4 days ago.
Oh, when was she apprehended? The timeline does get iffy if you add that into account. She's probably apprehended, like the minute the letter got to the magistrate, so probably a week ago. So she sat in a cell for 3 days and was taken by you guys.
Well, taken by the imposters, you mean?
Oh, yes.
So she was like apprehended 7 days ago and then taken by the imposters 4 days ago. So that means it took 3 days for her to call for assistance or for the imposters to learn that she needed assistance, and then they were able to come and set her free. Possibly during that time they would have needed to forge documents, forge magistrate documents. So I think that puts their base of operation very close to Nagasaki.
Yo, Tasai is too smart for me. I'm over my head, guys. I've made a mistake.
Sorry, did I just screw things up for you?
No.
Somehow?
I just have to like up my game now.
I was listening to a L5R podcast, and they basically made a similar deduction regarding pirates.
God, that's so smart. I never even. Very good.
That
does seem likely.
Of course, there is the possibility that they started nearby and their destination is further away. Asawa Shujenko, you mentioned your ability to track.
That I did.
I am... What out of character tracking is what? Hunting?
Yep, hunting skill. I got 2 ranks in it. Plus a perception of 3, so 5k3 is pretty good.
Yeah, that's a rather decent roll.
Yeah, that's much better than mine. But I myself am but a novice at tracking. However, perhaps that could be put to good use. I learned they did not have horses, and that the magistrates, the imposter magistrates, traveled on foot.
That will be of some assistance. As large of a city this is, however, I'm uncertain I'll be able to single out 3 pairs of footprints from a main road. However, if we know the direction that they left, or could find out the direction they left, we could simply move along the road until we find, say, a set of footprints going off the main roads. I imagine that if they are impostoring us, they do not wish to bring their attentions to themselves upon the main Emperor's roads.
That does seem like a likely conclusion.
Could we also check tax records? I don't know how much more we want to keep playing tonight. The tax records of the 2 names they gave.
That is a wise decision. If we can look within the city, we could perhaps get an address of where they reside, or more information regarding that.
Let's audit them.
Let's what?
Let's audit them.
Oh, audit.
IRS, dude, can't escape.
Though they may have used phony names, it would be a simple matter of checking.
The abacus is mightier than the sword.
And on the off chance they were sloppy enough to include the same fake name for their records, then we will have leads.
So from here, perhaps I could go check the tax records, and you could try to consult the fire commie. Well, we should also see if there were any witnesses. If anyone saw anyone set fire to the midwife's shop.
Even if they did not see anyone set the fire, any witnesses to the fire themselves, when it occurred, if they saw anything suspicious around it, would be good information to have.
Exactly.
As it stands, I believe I should assist you with finding the tax records. I'm quite skilled in bureaucracy and investigation. I will speak to the fire commie, however. They shall remain in the area.
Out of character, I'd kind of mentioned in front of another magistrate, I had asked if there were magistrates investigating the fire,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't remember what you said, Chris.
They concluded that it was arson. And somebody probably threw a torch of some kind onto the roof, and the buildings in Rokugan are like cartoonishly flammable. So
Okay.
it doesn't take a
And
lot.
that's all they know, basically.
Yes. There's lots of chemicals stored inside, so
But there are no leads as far as who did it.
no.
Or no witnesses that they know of.
It seems to have been done quite late.
What was that?
It seems to have been done quite late. Nobody saw it.
Oh.
All right, well, let's go off and go do that then.
And into the inn comes Asako Hako, looking all sweaty, and she's usually very well kept. And she catches her breath. She bows to the her superiors, and she says, "My lords, I was sent by Shiba Umbayashi. He's told me we found the magistrates of the city found the body of the first of 2 victims outside the city, and he's
The bodies, you say?
asking me to summon you to help investigate the area."
Indeed. Are there already Edda on site?
Yes. Taking care of the bodies as we speak. One body, one...
I believe my skills would be most useful there.
One
I have
survivor.
something of a medical mind. It's possible that we'll be able to figure out what did this.
Indeed.
The tax records will be there. And I doubt the fire kami will leave anytime soon. If they are already as suppressed as you say, Asako-san, it is a long shot that I will be able to speak with them, but I can try. Is the burnt out clinic on the way to the bodies by chance?
The body's been found over here. And the clinic is, let's see, that's the road where all the scrolls are. So the clinic would be right there. Boop.
And where, I'm sorry, I missed where the bodies were found.
Right here.
Oh, okay.
In a field of
Oh,
blue
interesting.
flowers.
So that's near the temple.
Yes.
That is near the temple.
Hey.
Oh, shit. Okay, well, yeah. And then all the scrolls are right here. And where are we exactly in relation?
You are in a, yeah, let's say right there. Boop.
Yeah, in that case, there's no reason for us not to go ahead and just head to this location before we head on out to here. They're going to be waiting for us anyway, so.
Okie doke. I feel comfortable ending the session there. I've got like literally an entire session. I could keep going, but I know our boy Tasai, he's at a later time zone, so if you guys want to keep going, I can go.
Yeah, well,
if you want to stop, I can stop.
I'm also an old man, so I'm pretty exhausted right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm totally cool with stopping here. We got more information. We got more stuff to go on.
Yeah, this was fun.
Sweet.
Indeed it was.